Hi, I have just passed Cambridge English Proficiency exam, as I have already described in one of the videos on my channel. And in this video, I'd like to just give some of my thoughts on preparation, on the audience, probably who should take the exam. Because, well, I have seen people who prepare, I have friends who have prepared for different Cambridge exams, and I have a lot of experience, probably now, including my own, including the experience of my friends and acquaintances. And here I'd like to summarize some things that I know about the exams, who should take them, when to take them, and how to prepare generally. Later on, if I see that there are people who need that, I will definitely record a separate video with like tips and a plan for preparation. But here now on, I'd like just to give general impression how to do that. And well, okay, that's clear. So first of all, who this exam is for. There is a kind of common conception which you can find online if you just check CPE, who is it for, when to take CPE. If you ask something like that in Google, you would probably find out that the exam is for those who are passionate learners, who have been learning the language for years, that no one needs that it's over the top. That's a good expression, over the top, too much, over the limits. In my experience, that was not so. So I'm trying to, I don't know, there is a conception that this exam is insanely difficult. I try to disprove this conception. I'm a person who did not prepare for CPE, Cambridge English Proficiency exam. I prepared for CAE, for even a different exam, and I passed my exam successfully, which probably proves that good knowledge of English and familiarity with the format of Cambridge exam, not necessarily CPE, but just generally the structure of the exam, CAE is really similar, is enough. Grade B is a good result, and some people say that in order to achieve something like that, you have to practice for like years, you have to train specifically for this exam, and that most people, because of this long preparation, don't need that. It just takes too long and they can do without it, that they'd better take CAE instead. Well, for me it's strange, because when I was presented this choice, you can take either of exams, there is no difference in money, you can take any. The only difference was 2 weeks between the exams. I could take CPE 2 weeks earlier than CAE. For me, it was important because I was absolutely fully 100% prepared for CAE, and I really didn't want to wait any longer. So I decided to run the risk and take a more difficult exam. Went out pretty well. So my example, I think, proves that that's 2 weeks, no, a little bit less, I think 12 days that I had before the exam were enough. So how to prepare generally? What do we do to prepare for a Cambridge exam? If you think that you are ready for CAE, if you think that your knowledge, I'm not, here I do not mean that you have passed CAE successfully or you have not, it doesn't matter. I mean, if you are sure that you are ready for CAE, that you would get there, B or A, what to do next to reach CPE level? What could be your actions? What to do, how to keep preparing? So again, probably you've seen the video, my story, how I took my CPE exam, because I had less than 2 weeks before, since the day X, when I understood that I would take CPE till the date of the exam. So I didn't have much time for preparation, and which is why I think that my experience could be even more relevant, because it's not that I could prepare for half a year, for example. I took CAE and then I had half a year, which I used to enlarge my vocabulary, get used to different writing formats, which we will get to in a minute, and then take a different exam. No, it was not like that. So, what are the differences which we need to work on? How exams are different to make us suffer probably more at CPE. So, in my opinion, listening is the easiest part. For if you're ready for CAE listening, if you've got used to the last part 4, where you have 2 columns of questions, which you have to, 2 tasks which you have to complete simultaneously. If you got used to doing that, if you don't have problems there, if you have enough time to read the questions and options in part 3, where you have like a list of text, basically, a A4 list of like questions and answers. If you are used to doing CAE listening and you have no problems there, you will do CPE listening. Of course, give it a try, do it a couple of times, but most likely you will not struggle. You will get grade B. That's not much of a difficulty. If we move to reading, which is the second thing, I think we're going from a more easier thing to more complicated things. Reading is not different. It's absolutely the same format. It's even easier because there will be one part missing. You will not have this part 7 of CAE with 4 reviews and 4 statements, which some students could find hard. CPE does not have this part. It's shorter. You will have to read less text, actually. But the text is going to be more complicated. That is so. And actually, the range of reading skills which are tested at CPE is different from that on CAE. At CPE, you're supposed to be able to understand irony, sarcasm, inferred meanings. I infer something. You're supposed to be able to understand that. CAE is not targeted to check such skills. Those are the differences. So meaning at CPE, or like what you're asked, the answer could be really subtle, and you might not be really obscure, and you might not be able to understand where is this place, where is the answer. You could be reading the exact right lines which you're supposed to, and still not see the answer. Of course, this could happen at CAE as well, but at CPE this is much more likely to happen with you. The most difficult part of CPE reading, and in my opinion that's the most difficult part of the whole exam, it's part 7, part 6, where you have a text and it has been jumbled up. Some of the abstracts have been removed from this text, and you have to find out which abstracts go where. Well, I'm not going to give much details, of course you can have a look at it yourself. This is insanely difficult at CPE. I cannot even understand why. I never had problems with this at CAE level, but when this task is targeted at CPE level, when it is designed for C2 level of English, it becomes insanely complicated. Just pay your close attention there. Don't waste your time doing listening, for example. Take all part 6 reading from all the books you have, which are only available for you, because this is where you are likely, in my opinion, to struggle the most. Part 1 is difficult. It's more difficult than CAE, where you have like multiple choice about vocabulary multiple choice. It's difficult, and if you are not convinced that your language intuition is good enough, then probably read more, prepare a little longer, do many practice tests, and you'll get used to it. There is no way to prepare for it deliberately. It's not like there are some tips how to do that. You just should do a lot of tasks and, well, learn the language generally. Unfortunately, nothing can be done to achieve it easily. Moving on to speaking, I think, because speaking at CPE actually is much closer to CAE than it is said to be. I don't know, because I've heard that being prepared for CAE is not enough to pass CPE speaking. My case proves it otherwise. Part 1 will be absolutely the same. Questions could be just identical. But Part 2 will be quite different. There will be more pictures, and the second question, which you're asked after you first describe some of the pictures with your partner, that is going to be really abstract. Not abstract. I don't know how to put it. You will be asked to imagine that some of the pictures are supposed to be chosen to some magazine or some exhibition, and you need to choose some picture which could be there. Also, the task might require you to add something. That there are 5 pictures which represent different aspects of childhood, and you could be asked to add one aspect which is not represented by any of the pictures. This is really different from CAE, and you need to get used to doing that differently. If you're used to part 2 of CAE speaking, which is actually one of the most difficult parts of the whole CAE exam, and I know some people who have been preparing for this part for like months, they just couldn't get all the information, answer both questions, compare pictures in this 1 minute. At CPE, it's different, and being well prepared for part 2 in CAE does not mean being able to complete part 2 in CPE successfully. You have to prepare differently. Just because the most difficult part of CAE speaking, this first half of part 2, is the task you do yourself. You're given 3 pictures, you're given 2 questions, and you talk about them, you compare them. At CPE, you have to collaborate right away. Actually, CPE is more aimed at checking your ability to collaborate with your partner using the foreign language, English. At CAE, this is not tested as much. Of course, there is collaborative task part 3 in CAE, which has no direct analog in CPE, but generally CPE is even more about collaboration. You have to be supportive. You have to be, well, you just have to demonstrate that you're a good person. If to put it bluntly, you have to be really nice to your partner, regardless of what you think about him or her, whether you like how he or she is dressed or behaves, no matter what. You have to be nice, you have to be polite, you have to collaborate and communicate effectively. This is what is tested in speaking. Another thing that you need to get ready for if you decide to take CPE instead of CAE, or to upgrade your knowledge, your skills from CAE-ish to CPE-ish, is the monologue in CPE. You will be given a card with a question. The question will be abstract, something about personality, costumes of some cultures. It could be something, well, it won't be about you. And there will be 3 prompts, which you can use or not use. You don't have to. You could, but it's not obligatory. And you have to speak for 2 minutes, which is really long. CAE does not require such long speaking, never. You are expected to speak for 10, 15, 20 seconds in part 1, then 1 minute in part 2, then collaborative task in part 3, where you speak for like 15, 20 seconds and then change your roles. And then, well, probably 25, 30 seconds in part 4. CPE has this long monologue about abstract topic, and you might not be able to find the right words in a spur of the moment. You might not be able to formulate your ideas well right away. You might need time to prepare, which you won't have. You have 10-15 seconds to look through the card and come up with some ideas, but generally the sooner you start speaking, the better. Just you have to read the question, think for 2 seconds, oh yeah, right, and start talking. This could be really difficult for some people, and that was difficult for me. The only suggestion that I have how to get used to doing that is just you go to all the books you have and you find the cards and prompts, and you go one by one. You read the question, give yourself 10 seconds, and you speak for 2 minutes. First 10-15 times, in my case, that would not be really good. It's either that you won't fit in the time limit, or you won't be able to demonstrate your range of grammar and vocabulary knowledge, or something else. Because you have this 2 minutes and you need to do your best. This is the part where you can show how good your speech is, how well you can formulate ideas. This is the part that tests that. And it's difficult. Yes, you need to be ready for that. If you are not, prepare for that. You can forget about part 1 and part 4 if your speech is confident, if you know that you can answer personal questions, something about like choices and like generally speak, then you don't need to prepare for parts 1 and 4. You don't need to prepare much. Parts 2 and 3 require a lot of preparation in CPE. They are difficult, really difficult. Now, if we talk about use of English, you see, writing is the most difficult in my opinion, so we'll move to it a little bit later. So, use of English. Well, the format is identical in CAE and CPE, and if you're ready for CAE use of English, probably you're ready for CPE use of English. The range of vocabulary that you are expected to know is much wider. The number of idioms, idiomatic expressions, phrases, and such things is different. And you need to learn a lot, actually. But my suggestion here would be, when you are more or less confident with CAE use of English, even if you take CAE exam, start doing CPE tasks. Because the format is the same, but the difficulty is different. The requirements are higher. So the more you do, the better, actually. Use of English, it's only a matter of practice. All the exam actually is a matter of practice, but it's the part that it is most true about is use of English. You need to do it regularly every day, spend half an hour every day with use of English. There are strategies that you need to do thorough my mistakes corrected after your use of English. I would not subscribe to that. In my opinion, you have to do a lot and get back to the tasks that you have already done. First, you do the task in, say, 2 weeks or in 1 month. You get back to the same transformations, open clauses, and everything, and do it once again. And try to remember it and do it better than you did last time. Probably the result will surprise you because you won't remember most of the places where you had mistakes. You might well have mistakes there again. But it's only a matter of repetition and, well, just getting back and revising, a matter of revision. And that's probably it. So, yeah, if you are ready to spend a lot of time with use of English, just try to make it your daily routine, that before you, I don't know, as you brush your teeth regularly, similarly, you need to do your use of English tasks regularly. That's the only key for me. Because actually writing sentences, coming up with sentences, trying to include all the expressions in your speech, and, well, those are the ideas that some might give you. In my case, that didn't work much, because there are too many expressions in CPE especially that you are expected to be able to use, and you won't be able to learn them all. You just need to get used to doing that, and probably it will well, probably you will learn a lot of them on your kind of subconscious level. You just, I don't know how to, probably I've said it enough. If we talk about grammar in part 4 in sentence transformation, probably you need to do all the exercises in My Grammar Lab or Advanced Grammar in Use. Just familiarize yourself with the structures. It's especially true about conditionals and inverted sentences. If you struggle with inversion, had it not been for good weather, we wouldn't have been able to go out for a walk. Seems clumsy and unclear for you, then go to the right books, practical English usage, my grammar lab, read the theory, do all the exercises, familiarize yourself with the structures. The more the better. Then, at least in every sentence transformation task, in every part 4 you take, you will be able to do like 2 sentences quite confidently without thinking much. You will just know that if you're given the word only as the one you need to use, that's definitely going to be not only does he do that, but also that. That is just every time it's there. And important thing, idioms are not tested in part 4 of CPE or CAE exam. You don't need to learn idioms. You will be tested grammar, expressions, maybe some basic phrasal verbs, but nothing more than catch on, keep up, go, come along, and such things. Take down. Quite common ones. You don't need to learn all the phrasal verbs from phrasal verbs in use. You won't be tested that. So how to prepare for use of English? Do as much use of English as you can and familiarize yourself with grammar so not to struggle with that at least. That will make your life easier. And now the final part of my talk and the most difficult part of CPE exam, in my opinion, that I took most precautions for. It's writing. Writing in CPE is different from writing in CAE, and chances are you won't be able to get a good score for writing. Getting perfect score for use of English, surprising as it may come to you, is easy. I got it. Well, that means that it's nothing special. Getting perfect score or close to perfect score in listening is okay if you are in a good shape, in a good mood, if you had a good sleep, that will happen. Getting perfect mark in reading, or like close to perfect, is difficult and really depends on the test. It's much, it could be a matter of luck, unfortunately. But writing is really a place where you are expected to demonstrate a lot and prove a lot. So part 2 is absolutely the same. No differences. The only difference is the word limit. I mean, different from CE. If you are prepared for writing reports, for example, or letters or reviews at CAE level, probably you will get a satisfactory score at CPE. But keep in mind that there are no proposals in CPE, so if you are a big fan of proposals, unfortunately you won't have that. But the problem there is that you really need to show that in order to get a better mark, in order to get something better than C, which I got, unfortunately, you need to be able to demonstrate that you are well familiar with the topic. They test more than just language. It does not have to be just correct grammatically and show a wide range of vocabulary. No, that is not enough. You will get C. Trust me. You have to show that your writing has to be concise, has to be coherent, has to be clear. You have to follow a precise structure, otherwise you will not get a good score. Paragraphs are important. Rephrasing some idea from the task is important. Using difficult vocabulary only in the right places where it's needed is important. You have to be precise, and being precise does not mean using such words as, I don't know, let me think of something, exacerbate, let's say, or insurmountable, whatever. These words do not need to be used all the time. Like, you need to show that you know such vocabulary, that you are familiar with this level of lexis. But you don't have to demonstrate that your speech is filled with such words. Only on rare occasions, when it's needed, when you understand that you need this word here. If it's not needed, you'd better say it in a simpler and more clear way, because clarity is the key. You're expected to be clear, concise, coherent, not indespicably unclear because of the excruciatingly difficult vocabulary that you used. Please, don't make it too posh. Don't make it too unclear because of the difficult vocabulary and difficult grammar. Don't make the sentences too long. It has to be clear. Clarity is the main word. And you need to know the topic you're writing about. It cannot be unrealistic, because if you make it up, the whole thing, the assessor will notice that. So, for example, if you wrote a proposal at CAE which was really far-fetched and didn't seem realistic, it could work. At CPE, this most likely wouldn't. Not because they test how well your report, for example, represents the reality in your particular country. No, because your text will be noticeably false. This falsity, how? Well, this lack of, oh my goodness, yeah, you see, that it's not true will be noticed. Let me put it in the most simple way. Well, I got a bad mark for writing, so all I can tell you is, yeah, you need to read a lot, such things as, let's say, The Economist. Here I have it. Just you open it, you start reading reports, editorials, just to familiarize yourself again with how it needs to be done. You need to get used to the level of vocabulary that is used there, and actually, if you start reading it from some place just in the middle of the book, of the journal, magazine, you won't notice the abundance of high-flown vocabulary. No, there is not, because the report that you see here of some news has to be to the point, has to be clear, has to be coherent. That's what the writers in such magazines aspire. Not to make it posh and difficult to read, but to make it clear and good for their readership. And that's what you surprisingly have to aspire when you prepare for CPE. And the essay part, the first part of writing, it's really difficult for those who were preparing for CAE, as I was, because it's really different. In CAE essay, you are given prompts. You are given ideas which you could elaborate on, which you could draw on to build your thought, to explain your point of view, to justify something. At CPE, you are only given two texts, which might not be entirely clear to you, because they're quite difficult to read, actually. And, well, not only do you have to be able to formulate ideas and make a clearly structured, well-developed piece, but also to deduce from the two initial texts what are the ideas that you are expected to include in your writing. This is difficult, so summarizing everything that I have been talking about for this half an hour. Listening, just do a couple of practice runs. Most likely you will do that if you are ready for CAE listening, of course. Reading, difficult, requires precision, dedication, devotion, whatever you want here, the word. Just concentration is the key here. Just read it as thoroughly as you possibly can. Probably it will work out well. Probably. Use of English, practice is the key. You do as much as possible. Take all the books that are available. Learn as much. Get back. Revise. Here we talk about revision. Yeah. In reading, it's concentration. In use of English, it's revision. In speaking, it's collaboration. In writing, it's clarity. Okay, those are the words, the key words of each task. What is the quality of your performance which you need to aspire, which you need to long for? Speaking, getting back to that, is, well, you need to know the format very well. You need to read what books suggest, and you need to have a partner of your level approximately who's willing to help you or who prepares for the same exam. By the way, you can go to the exam and register together so that you you with your mate, with your acquaintance, could take the speaking part together. This could be helpful because this relieves stress. That's what I will probably record a separate video about stress and how to overcome it. And writing, clarity, precision, learning from the best people, from good sources, trying to write as the best people do, and well, yeah, doing a lot of practice actually. The more you write, the better you write again. But well, here someone has to check it and has to give you feedback. I don't know how you can actually. Well, I got a bad score for writing, so I cannot probably give you much help here. Unfortunately, it's the most difficult part, and probably you should not expect to get a good score there. I don't know much people who have actually got that. That's probably it. But generally, the exam is not as difficult as it is sometimes said to be. Maybe my speech did not give you that impression, form that impression, made that impression. But it is actually so. If you're ready for use of English, reading, and listening in CAE, then you're ready for CPE in this respect. Just a little bit more of practice, and that will come. Speaking, if you have a good partner, if you can work on this quite a lot, you will do that. Writing, yeah, work on it all the time. Never, well, you need always to find time to write. First, you probably need to spend like 2 hours with one piece. Then you will try to minimize it to this 45 minutes that you will have. Actually, strict time limit is why the writing is so difficult. Because you cannot rewrite it, get back to different places, and like have enough time to revise all that you have written. You have to do it fast. That's why it's so difficult. It's not only expected to be similar to good examples from good magazines to get good score, but it also needs to be done really fast, which makes it so difficult. Combination of these two requirements. But actually, good luck. If you work hard, you can get it, as I got it. My result is good, so can be yours, I think. I am perfectly aware that the content of these videos and, well, what they are about is not the most common. Not too many people need that and could be interested in that. But if you're watching it, if I finally uploaded it, and you have any questions, if you need advice on how to prepare for any of the parts of CPE exam, if you are wondering which exam to take, if you have any questions left after all that I have described here, please don't hesitate. Just go into the comment section and leave there what you're interested in. Tell me what you want to know, and I will record one more of such videos and answer any of the questions. Because, well, I don't know what you could be concerned about. I've had numerous concerns. I had some teachers, I had some friends who could, I still have them of course, who could advise me, who could give me advice. But anyway, I understand that the lack of confidence could be among the problems which you face during the preparation. So if I could be of service here, please don't hesitate, let me know, and I'll try to do my best to help you a little bit with your preparation, which could be arduous, of course. I know it's, well, a quote from my own experience.